The following morning, Errol wakes up in an unfamiliar room before remembering that he's now staying at the Dragon Fang Guild. Stepping out, he spots Lilia and Rihanna already seated at the table and greets them. Lilia smiles and asks if he slept well, and Errol replies that it's been a long time since he's had such a comfortable rest. He notices, however, that Rihanna hasn't said a word and figures she's still sulking over losing their previous fight. Before he can dwell on it, Lilia breaks the silence with some exciting news. The Dragon Fang Guild is finally qualified to enter the upcoming guild tournament. Beaming with enthusiasm, she announces that they're officially registered and ready to compete. Curious, Errol asks if winning the prize money would be enough to pay off their guild's debts. Lilia nods and begins explaining the rules. Victory goes to the last guild standing, meaning they must eliminate all opposing members to win. Rihanna looks uneasy, worrying about the challenges they'll face since they're at a disadvantage in numbers. But Lilia stays optimistic. She believes it's unlikely they'll face too many high-ranked swordsmen and proudly points out that Dragon Fang has 2 B-ranked fighters of their own. Errol, looking puzzled, asks what those rankings mean. With a smirk, Rihanna mocks him for his ignorance, while Lilia kindly explains that swordsmen are ranked from D up to A, depending on their power. She adds that there are only about 20 ranked swordsmen in the entire kingdom of Brea, and both she and Rihanna are among the B ranks. Despite Errol's victory over Rihanna, Lilia doesn't believe he's a ranked fighter yet, considering how massive the gap is between their levels. Suddenly, Lilia remembers that the tournament matchups are about to be announced and hurries off to check them. Once she leaves, Rihanna stands up as well, preparing to train. Errol, intrigued, asks if she truly specializes as a power bladesman and whether she has any secondary skills. She explains her unique ability, Guts, which strengthens her defensive barrier. Interested, Errol grabs her hands, causing Rihanna to blush and misinterpret his intentions. But he quickly clarifies that he wants her to help him learn the Guts ability. She looks at him confused, as he insists that the best way to master endurance is by taking repeated hits. Rihanna reminds him that her skills are divine blessings from the goddess, not something others can just copy. But when Errol points out that he's already mastered techniques like Twin Slice and Shadow Step, she falls silent, slightly impressed. They head to the training grounds, where Errol asks to try her massive sword. Rihanna hesitates, thinking he won't be able to lift it, but to her shock, he draws it effortlessly. Errol grins, explaining that his strength comes from endless hours of training, and he's confident he can handle learning her technique. Finally, recognizing his determination, Rihanna agrees to train him, but warns that she won't be holding back. When Errol compliments her as a powerful woman from his homeland, she blushes again before raising her sword to begin. Their spar is interrupted as Lilia bursts into the room, tears welling in her eyes. Panicking, she announces their first opponent, the legendary Black Blade Guild, the strongest team in the entire city. Knowing that their opponent's leader, George, is a ruthless and arrogant man, Lilia expects him to crush them without hesitation. Still, she refuses to give in to fate and focuses on preparing the team for battle. Later, when she walks in on Rihanna mercilessly striking Errol during training, Lilia mistakes it for a heated argument caused by poor teamwork. Rihanna quickly explains that it's just part of their special training routine, but Lilia can't shake the feeling that she's venting her frustrations on him. Panting and sore, Errol eventually stands up, complaining that he's starving. Lilia just tells him to drink some holy water first before eating. Days pass, and the long-awaited tournament finally begins. Errol is amazed by the massive coliseum filled with cheering spectators. Around him, people whisper excitedly about the upcoming match between Dragon Fang and Black Blade. Most of the crowd assumes the weaker guild doesn't stand a chance, placing their bets on Black Blade instead. Lilia's temper flares at their comments, but Rihanna quickly pulls her back before she causes a scene. When Errol learns about the betting pools, he's surprised, and Lilia can't help but grin mischievously when she sees their odds are 20-1. Errol marvels at the numbers, but Lilia snaps, reminding him that those odds exist because everyone expects them to lose. Still, she sees an opportunity. If they can pull off an impossible win, the payout will be huge. Since they're already drowning in debt, she reveals she's mortgaged her house and bet all of their savings on Dragon Fang. Rihanna nearly faints, saying that the odds of winning are almost zero, but Lilia insists they have nothing left to lose. Just then, George approaches, smug as ever, complimenting Lilia for her dedication to her father's guild. When he brings up the classless hero she recruited, Lilia immediately realizes he's mocking her. Pretending to sound sympathetic, George claims it's sad to see her guild's downfall. Then, with a grin, he admits that he personally arranged the matchup so the crowd could watch the old, strongest guild clash with the new one. He even tells her she should thank him for giving her a chance to make money off the bets, before laughing, confident that her team will never defeat his A-ranked swordsmen. Furious, Lilia vows they'll win no matter what, but George just smirks and walks away. Errol, watching him go, remarks how George hides his insults behind fake kindness. Soon, the stadium roars with excitement as the announcer hypes up the start of the tournament. Errol notices that George himself won't be fighting and assumes maybe the man is showing mercy. But Lilia reminds him that every single member of Black Blade is A-ranked. There's no mercy coming their way. Rihanna agrees, saying they'll need everything they've got just to stay alive. Despite the tension, Errol can't help but feel thrilled at the chance to face stronger opponents. Then the announcer's voice echoes through the arena, declaring the first match: Black Blade's Geo versus Dragon Fang's classless Errol. As Errol steps into the arena, the crowd murmurs and laughs, wondering why Dragon Fang would send in a classless nobody to start the fight. Geo, unimpressed, calls the match a waste of time. The announcer signals the start, and in an instant, Geo teleports right in front of Errol and drives his spear straight into him. Lilia instantly worries for Errol when Geo's attack connects, but Rihanna calmly reminds her that what he hit was just a shadow. As the shadow fades away, Geo's smug grin starts to crack. He spins around and thrusts his spear into another figure behind him, only to realize it's yet another illusion. Confused, Geo looks up to see two more Errols standing in the arena. Smirking, he decides to wipe them out with his blink dash skill, but just as he's about to strike, a third shadow appears behind him. The three clones rush in from every direction, and although Geo manages to destroy them, the real Errol suddenly appears right beneath him, landing a clean, devastating blow that ends the match in an instant. As Geo collapses, stunned, he mutters in disbelief. How could Errol create 3 shadows at once? Errol just chuckles and says, "My mom can summon 5 of them without even breaking a sweat." The announcer quickly declares Errol the victor, and the entire arena erupts in thunderous applause. Lilia jumps up in excitement, cheering proudly, while Rihanna can barely believe what she's seen. Errol just took down an A-rank swordsman like it was nothing. While the medics carry Geo off the field, Errol reflects that he still needs more practice before he can fully master Geo's critical strike technique. The audience, meanwhile, is in shock that a so-called classless swordsman could defeat ranked fighters so effortlessly. George watches silently, his confident grin fading, as the next match begins. The following Black Blade fighter charges forward, slashing furiously, but Errol blocks each blow with ease before countering with a twin slice, finishing the duel in seconds. Another match begins, this time against a dagger wielder who relies on close combat. But before the man even reacts, Errol appears behind him like a phantom and knocks him out cold. Even his teammates are stunned. 3 victories in a row. Rihanna asks Lilia why she isn't entering the fray, but Lilia admits there's no point. She wouldn't stand a chance. Instead, she decides to cheer on their rising star. Together, the two watch as Errol faces his 4th opponent, a heavily armored shield bearer. The battle begins, and Errol quickly realizes that breaking through his opponent's defense won't be easy. He compliments the man's skill and says he'll need to wear him down gradually. The shield bearer scoffs, claiming a classless hero shouldn't even be able to last this long. Errol fires back, saying his strength comes from years of relentless training, not from having a class. The man laughs, insisting that hard work alone can't rival divine blessings. Suddenly, he feints with his sword and charges with his shield, but Errol predicts the move using his newly learned foresight skill, disarming him instantly. Shocked, the shield bearer realizes Errol must have copied the move from a previous match. Errol admits he's still far from mastering it, but he can replicate what he's seen in battle. Using a counter kick, he sends his opponent flying, then picks up the fallen shield to finish the fight with a perfect counter shield strike. The announcer raises her voice. That's Errol's 4th consecutive win. The crowd goes wild, now doubting if he's even truly classless. Tournament officials demand proof, so Errol calmly hands over his class card. The announcer inserts it into the crystal orb, and silence falls as the orb confirms he's legitimately classless. George begins to sweat as pressure mounts. Even Rihanna starts to believe they might actually win. Lilia, on the other hand, is frustrated. If she'd known Errol was this strong earlier, she would have sold her family heirlooms to bet even more on them. Rihanna is amazed at how far he's come, wondering what kind of training he went through over the last 5 years. Meanwhile, Lilia starts fantasizing about marrying him, convinced that no matter what happens to the guild, she can rebuild it if he's by her side. Her dark aura sends chills down Errol's spine. Finally, the announcer introduces Black Blade's final swordsman, Master Masamune. Errol notices the man wields a katana, and Rihanna recognizes the rare samurai class. Lilia realizes this must be the guild's ace, a fighter who's never revealed his skills in public. As the match begins, Masamune calmly grips his sword, radiating an overwhelming presence. Errol feels the pressure immediately. Seeing his hesitation, Masamune smirks and warns him that the moment he steps closer will be his last. He's waiting to unleash his ultimate technique. Errol smiles and starts walking toward him anyway. "We can't just stand around like trees," he says. "I want to see what you've really got." Masamune chuckles. "Then don't blink. You won't even see my blade move." But Errol keeps advancing, confident in his own speed. He notices Masamune's sword remains in its sheath, realizing the samurai plans to end the fight in one perfect strike. Errol considers using his shadows, but decides against it. Masamune's focus is too sharp to be fooled. They face each other, unmoving. One blow will decide everything. As Errol takes his final step, Masamune's blade flashes like lightning, but Errol vanishes right before the strike lands. Shocked, Masamune spins around, only to hear Errol's calm voice behind him. "You're fast," he says, "but my master was even faster." He then unleashes Piercing Tempest, a devastating technique that overwhelms Masamune and sends him crashing to the ground.